Oh, and just like that, we're live. All right. Welcome, everybody, on LinkedIn and all of you who are watching on YouTube live. Welcome to the Silicon Valley Influence. My name is Brian Sparks. With me today is Shawn Flynn. I'm an executive communication coach and business coach with Heroic Voice Academy. The goal of this program is to speak with Silicon Valley leaders and flesh out conversational frameworks and insights so that you can accelerate your influence to build trust, connection, and social capital. The format of the show is built around 7 leadership questions. We pitch these questions to our guests and then help you listen for the clues that frame the mindset to be influential. So today I'm pumped to talk with my good friend Shawn Flynn, who is the host of the Silicon Valley Influence, excuse me, that's my show, Silicon Valley Podcast.
Way to self-plug there.
Controversial.
Yeah.
He's also rebooting the Angels, which we'll talk a little bit about later in the show. So I'm pumped about today's conversation because this guy, when it comes to building community, top of mind, Shawn Flynn. Shawn, can you introduce yourself to everybody and tell them a little bit about your story?
Well, I mean, I'm just amazed to be in a room with such a handsome man. I mean, I'm a little, starstruck right now, to be honest. But a little bit about my background. As Brian mentioned, I am the host of the Silicon Valley Podcast. I am revitalizing the Angels. That's a project I'm working on right now. So please, everyone, stay tuned. I mean, just check out the website right now, bayangels.com, to see what's been happening there. But more than that, I mean, my day is focused around investment banking. I'm at Global Capital Markets, which is a mid-market investment bank, headquartered in Irvine. And for people that might not know what investment banks do, or at least what I focus on, think of it this way. You go through life, you meet that special someone, you come together, you get married. That's a merger, all right? Then maybe you see that puppy on the side of the street, you want to bring it into your home. Well, that's an acquisition. And that puppy, well, it'll need food, it'll need to go to the vet, it needs to, go from this puppy to this big dog. Well, you'll need growth capital for that. And then that dog, at some time, it might have puppies of its own. Maybe the neighbor comes by and goes, "Oh my gosh, I want one of these puppies. I want to buy one from you." You divestiture, you sell off a division. And so there's major transactions that happen in someone's life. Those transactions in the business, that's what I focused on. And so that's what I do. That's my 9 to 9 or 9 to 10 or while I'm awake, and then the podcast. And so I'm doing all those, and they all work together. That's a little bit about what I focused on.
So again, Shawn and I focus a lot on business and accelerating startups in the Silicon Valley and global. Now, Shawn's expertise is in business banking, but you have a run-up to this. Like, you had your own business. What got you into the startup community? How did that journey transpire?
Well, luckily, the startup community will accept anyone in the community. So through default of not being accepted anyplace else. No, but honestly, when I came back from China, I lived overseas after college for almost 8 years total. Some of that Costa Rica, China, Europe, China. And when I came back from China, when I was interviewing for companies, they all said the exact same thing. I would get to the final stage, and I mean, I interviewed at ADP, I interviewed at Salesforce, I interviewed at all these great companies. I'd get these warm intros from my network and go, "Oh, you'd be really great here." But then right at the very end, they'd say the same thing. You're going to be bored here. After a year, you're going to leave. And I would look at it going, "Well, I need money, so I'll stay longer." But, they all said the same thing. And it was everyone. You're going to get bored here. From your past, starting companies overseas, selling a company overseas, living abroad, with what your background is, you're going to be gone tomorrow. Now, the startup community, they're the opposite. They're like, "Oh my gosh, you've tried all these things. You're willing to take risks. You're adaptable. You're a hard worker. Please come here." So the startup community really accepted me. Um, you know, Also for my good looks. But
The haircut.
it's the hair. I literally, since I've been back to the U.S., I was bald the entire time. Literally, like, talk about bad genetics. Age 27, 28, it was downhill quickly. Luckily, I was dated, and now my wife, the most beautiful person in the world, which I think many of the people listening to this know Michelle. So I got very lucky to rope that in before genetics kicked in. But yeah, the startup community accepted me, and to be honest, I love it because it's so challenging. It's so fast paced. It's every day there's something new, and that ties into the investment bank because start off as a startup, then you grow your company over time, and then you need other resources, other professionals to come and work in to hit those action items, those transactions that you're interested in. So I get to see them, and I see them throughout their entire life cycle, from that idea to even companies right now. I remember there's one company 4.5 years ago we took to China on a roadshow. They just went public. So I've gotten to see that company literally from the idea to the exit. So it's been fantastic, this journey.
So if there's anyone you ever want to talk to about the bookends of business from idea to exit strategy, this guy is a wealth of knowledge, has great resources. The one thing that I think really stands out to me about you is how you have taken on this, what I think is a new strategy. I mean, a lot of people will have a great idea. I mean, it seems like if you're 12 and in Silicon Valley, you have a startup idea, right? It's like it's the rite of passage. What's unique about Shawn and what I really admire about him is he's developed this approach to business where he builds a community around an idea or a mission. What made you kind of go that route in terms of bringing people, so many people in? Because you do it so well.
Well, first off, for everyone listening, just to let you know,
okay, it's something you gotta know about Shawn. This guy has got a great sense of humor. Okay, go ahead.
Brian's reading off the script I wrote when it comes to the compliments. But then sometimes he's gonna ad lib and just ask these other things that I'm like, wait, that doesn't compliment me. So just to forewarn everyone. I mean, the idea with community, and I think it goes back to kind of when I was overseas in China. There, it's different the way business is done. It's all guanxi, it's all connections, it's all relationships. I didn't really understand that until I started the third company, which actually did something, was the whole connection. It's not what's on a contract. It's who who you're sitting across the table from. Do they trust you? Do they not? How long do they feel that this relationship has value? All those things. It's so much relationship. And I also remember a teacher when I was there. I didn't know Chinese when I arrived. I studied very hard, and there's a couple stories I can share later in this 5-hour interview. But one of the things that was very interesting is I'd always ask a lot of questions about Chinese culture. One comment was, every new friend, a new path opens up. And I was like, ooh, that's really good. And then also, the more you're connected, the less money has value. I was like, what does that mean? I was like, well, if you have this network, you don't need money. You go in a restaurant, the food's given to you. Hey, you do this. Well, you want to talk to a lawyer. Well, the lawyer gives free advice. Because you built this relationship, you built this bond, this community where everyone helps everyone and everyone grows. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, that's really interesting. She's telling me like the most powerful people in China, why would they carry money? I was like, oh yeah, I guess you're right. Um, so I guess maybe that's really heavily influenced kind of my way of doing things coming back here to the States. But also, one of the things when I first got back was I realized my network wasn't that good, considering after college for almost 8 years I was abroad and I didn't have Facebook at that time. I didn't have social media. Most of my contacts I lost contact with, even though I knew I had all these skills and resources that I could provide companies. I just realized how valuable that network is. So I really doubled down and really focused on building a strong network, building a strong community. And I've just realized over time that it literally is the most valuable thing to get from one spot to the other. It's leveraging other people's experience, knowledge, and wisdom. And by doing that, you can move. And as long as you're helping others in the process, they move. Everyone wants to help each other. Well, okay. Well, I mean, everyone wants to help each other. There are, takers. There are those people that, me only. But in Silicon Valley, I found, and at least over time, you can really screen and vet your community so that it is a community of givers where everyone wants to work together to help each other to get to where they want to go. And there's really, I think if you have the abundant mindset, you really realize that everyone can get there. It's not limited to one or two. Like literally everyone can move ahead forward in what they want to accomplish. Because so many people have different goals, and there's always opportunities for those goals to be reached.
That's awesome. That's literally going to be a TikTok right there, because what I heard you say in such a concise way is the more connections you have, the more pathways you have, number one. A lot of people who launch an idea think they need financial capital, but you're reinventing it and saying, no, it's social capital that helps leverage uh, launching, scaling, sustaining. Not that money is not important. I mean, as a banker, you help manage that. And so you've kind of taken the strategy with the Silicon Valley um, podcast, which actually got its start in a broadcast, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a
So
public access TV show. We did 46 episodes total, and it was a lot of fun. And yeah, then that I was doing the podcast and the show simultaneously, but then pivoted full time into the podcast. And of course, now we're adding a video component to the podcast, which is kind of hilarious. So it's going full circle. Yeah.
that's awesome. And so you just kind of was recognized the last couple of years as the me. What was the title? You got the the must watch.
Oh, the number one Silicon Valley podcast to follow by Spot. I got that. This is going on year 3 now. Yeah.
Nice. And so on Shawn's show, he talks to big players in Silicon Valley, global economy. If I can ask, what are some of the things you've heard over the years in terms of a CEO's mindset that helps build community, be successful? What is something that really stands out that you remember from having these conversations?
Okay, there's a lot. So one of the things in particular that I caught on very early was the most successful people I interviewed were able to build rapport pretty much instant. And I noticed also, and now this is a plug for my show, so everyone go back and listen to it. The more successful the people were, there's a direct relationship. As weird as it sounds, how many times they said my name in the interview. They said, "Hey Shawn, good question, blah blah." Shawn, blah blah blah. And at first I didn't catch it, but then after a while I went, "Okay, the billionaires seem to know my name on day one, like the moment we start the interview. Hey Shawn, I'm excited about this interview, blah blah, Shawn, Shawn, Shawn." And then these other people, everyone I've interviewed are successful in their own way, but they would talk about themselves. Hey, I built this, I did this, and it was kind of working around what they're working on. But the others were like, Shawn, you know, community, you're included. Hey, we did this, we did this, we did this. And if this is a failure, I messed up on this. So it's like give credit to everyone, build a relationship with everyone, but take the blame themselves for things. And I thought that was super interesting. Just you know, the way that it's weird as it sounds, having a billionaire and you're trying to think, how can I help this person? Like, how crazy is that? Like you're thinking like, wait a second. Like I've even caught myself going, man, how can I help this person after the interview? Wait, is there really anything I can help with this person? Like trying to think, in a way. But to have that for everyone you meet you want to help, I think that really separates that 0.0001 leaders, successful people versus everyone else. And I've interviewed some uber successful people. And just catching that was very interesting. Other things that I've learned over all these interviews was, and I think people have already heard this, people are always looking for knowledge. This is another thing in my interviews before and after. Hey, what's that knob? What are you doing there? Hey, I'm kind of curious. What? Should I have the mic? Always asking questions. They're not hesitant at all to stop. Go, hey, whoa, I didn't understand that. Could you repeat that? Could you say that question again? Maybe reword it. They'll just stop you right there and ask questions. I thought that's been very interesting to me. So, giving praise to everyone else, always asking questions, always learning, able to build rapport instantly, having a vision of where you're going, and more than anything, I guess the speaking ability. And I'm very jealous of this. Is I've noticed that these CEOs, they can create their stories in a visual way that just captures your attention more so than almost anyone. Some of the best interviews I've had, I've literally just asked 2 or 3 questions, and then they've gone off for an hour on these stories, and the whole time you're just engaged. First, other people I'll meet at the gym or someplace are like, yeah, yeah, gains. Right? And you're sitting like, what even happened? So the ability to, and I really think that people don't give enough credit to being able to communicate in a well-structured, thought-out manner. And I think that ability, that tool to be able to communicate with just anyone that comes in front of you, not just the people that are in your circle, but to the general public, and be able to build relations. I think that's such a valuable skill that a lot of the people I've interviewed seem to have, that I just caught on and thought, oh my gosh, I need to work on my writing, I need to work on my communication, my public speaking. I need to, I want to get to where I'm going. What I have right now is not going to get there, so I need to continually be improving. That's another thing. These people, they all are saying, I'm working on this. They're never there on done. It's always, I'm here and I'm going to do something else. Even if it's a new hobby, windsurfing or kite surfing, glass blowing or whatever, or writing a book or something, they're always thinking further ahead. Not where I am today, but where I will be and how will I get there.
Those are great insights. So clearly, communication skills are huge. There's a laundry list of other mindsets that characterize these leaders. Um, how do you? I mean, I think all our viewers who are watching on LinkedIn, who will watch on YouTube in the future, at some point have dealt with imposter syndrome. Have you ever struggled with that? I mean, you seem to be so smooth. You got a joke on the, something to disarm people. But has there ever been a time where it kind of crept up on you?
Brian, with this smile, what are we talking?
Sorry, forgive me. I don't know what I was asking. I don't know.
Interview over. No, I mean, honestly, I think I think as everyone else, but was really, so one of the interviews I had, actually not one, and was, one was Jim McKelvey, another was Allison, um, last name eludes me right now, but the idea of the imposter syndrome is more or less in the way that if you're on, or if you're trying to do something, but really no one else has ever done it, so what do you compare yourself to? You're you founded this company, like, oh my gosh, I'm this imposter because I'm doing this AI technology, whatever, going this direction. Well, who are you comparing yourself to? You're ahead of everyone else. No one else has done it, right? And no one else has your background. No one else is in your situation. So you are unique no matter what. Now, I mean, if you're looking at, that person sold more companies, or that, great. Maybe they have more experience than that, but maybe your background, what you've done, is actually tailored more for your situation that you're in right now. So if you think of everything as a big picture, maybe that imposter syndrome kind of gets pushed to the side. Maybe there's a lot to it, but I say, if you break things down and kind of see that goal ahead and how to get there and the resources to get there, I think that attention moves away from yourself to the bigger picture as a way to actually move forward. Um, but I mean, imposter syndrome itself, that's a really good question. But I mean, I get to sit down with the investment banking job. I mean, I was thinking this the other week. I sat down with fund. They had 2.3 billion assets under management, right? And I'm talking to them about, you kind of people have billions of dollars. Or when I interviewed Jim McKelvey, that guy's, I interviewed Molly Founder of Canada. She's a billionaire. I've interviewed quite a few billionaires, and they all say I was nervous, I was freaking out, and I didn't know what I was doing, and start realizing people are people. If you come down to it, 90% of us have the same issues every day. My wife's mad at me. She doesn't think I'm cool. Have to shave this morning, and my razor's dull. I don't know. Like, almost 90% of problems are the exact same for everyone, what we're going through. And then, that other little percentage, okay, you've had these experiences, I've had other ones. Let's talk and just calm down, relax, see the big picture, and be able to move forward. I don't know. I think that's more, step back and not look everything through your eyes. Have you ever heard remember that your eyes, other person's eyes, third person's eyes.
Mhm.
I think when you do that, you're good to go.
I love it. All right, so I have a couple more questions for Tom before we close up for the day. There's a huge relaunch going on. I don't know if we're ready to talk about this yet, but Bay Angels, huh?
Yeah,
A little movement going on with that.
so we're revitalizing the Angels. It's been kind of in hibernation over the pandemic. Working with a very talented group of people. I'm not sure. There's this one guy that's got good marketing skills for doing good lives. Sometimes at 11 o'clock on Tuesdays. He's putting in amazing efforts. And we're building this community of, we've already had a history with Angel Network, but we're taking it to the next level where hopefully we get quality startups to match with amazing service providers that will prepare companies to be amazing angels. Angels will hopefully want to invest, and then as the startups grow, the service provider services will grow, and other investors will come in, and there's this just cycle that grows everyone in the community. And it's kind of a big vision because now we're not geographically isolated anymore. To make this a global thing, we get people from all over the world. So it's going to be exciting to see how it turns out. I mean, the person that's coming on as marketing and pushing it, it's, I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, this person is 11. You can't crank this handbook anymore. It's solid. The plan that this person pitched me the other day, I'm just looking at it going, wait a second. No Fortune 500 company has a budget for this. How is this even going to get accomplished? But this person's taking it on. I mean,
Amazing.
yeah, Brian.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Shawn, I want to thank you for chatting with us today. Can you please tell everyone how they can get a hold of you if they have any questions about investment banking or would like to just connect with you on LinkedIn?
Yeah. So, I mean, connect me on LinkedIn. My name is Shawn Flynn, SHAWNFLYNN. That's the best way to contact me, to be honest. If you want, just reach out to me. If you're in your company, if you're looking to get acquired, if you're looking to raise growth capital, if you're maybe part of a company that's pre-IPO, you're an early employer investor looking to sell some shares in the secondary market, please contact me as well. So yeah, I'm all about communication. I'm all about connecting 6 months, a year in advance, anytime transaction has to take place. It takes a lot of time to prepare, get all the processes, get everything in order. And then also subscribe to the podcast, the Silicon Valley Podcast. A little tip for all the listeners here. The majority of the people I interview, they put their contact information in the show notes. So you can reach out to the both of my guests and say, hey, I listened to the podcast. I loved it. I have a question. A lot of my guests have come back to me and said, hey, Shawn, so and so reached out to me. Thank you. I sent them my book, or I have them as a client now, or it's just really good connecting with a fan. So and then Bangtools.com is the website for that. So a lot of stuff. And Brian, thank you for this. Sorry to keep talking so much.
No, it's great, Shawn. Thank you so much for joining us today. Again, check out the Silicon Valley Podcast. Also, check out bayangels.com for resources you may need as a startup. Get your pitch decks in. We may take a look at you and give you the resources you need. This is a huge ecosystem that's really looking to blow up and help startups globally. So there's more to follow. There's more information on bayangels.com. Again, Silicon Valley Podcast. Check it out.
The investment bank, the globalcapitalmarkets.com for that.
This guy is just, connect with him. He's the best. So again, this show is about community. I also want to invite you, as Shawn said, communication skills are huge. To our Thursday presentation gym. You can check it out on LinkedIn or on Zoom. Go to heroicvoice.com/gym. You can click the button to get connected. Thursdays from 12 to 1. We have an open gym where we'll teach you about one slide, one skill to beef up your message portfolio or your pitch deck. More importantly, and again, we look at a ton of pitch decks. I think we can position you for for a second conversation when it comes to talking to VCs. Again, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Check us out next Tuesday and every Tuesday from 11 to 11:30 as we talk with Silicon Valley influence. Have a great week, everybody.